welcome to the San Bruno City Council and San Bruno Redevelopment Agency of March 8th, 2011. No charge for the music. Is that somebody's phone?
Not me.
Okay. Is Councilwoman O'Connell here? I just saw her.
She just walked in and walked out.
Oh, here she is. Okay.
That's her phone.
Thank you to the San Bruno Garden Club for providing the floral arrangement. They're very nice to do that at all of our meetings. Roll call.
Council Agency Member Ibarra.
Here.
Council Agency Member Medina.
Here.
Council Agency Member O'Connell.
Here.
Mayor Chair Ruane.
Here.
Vice Mayor, Vice Chair Salazar.
Here.
And I see Mr. Nigel in the audience. Would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here it is. We do have a couple of announcements this evening, and it's my pleasure to tell you about a few people in San Bruno. They're very special. On February 24th, I attended a San Mateo County Ombudsman breakfast where our police officer, Heidi Schindel, was recognized for her outstanding efforts on behalf of senior care residents left alone after the Glenview explosion and fire. Her diligence in investigating this incident has resulted in potential prosecution by the San Mateo County DA. Congratulations to Heidi for your job well done. Also, last Saturday, I participated in a welcome home to San Bruno for resident and Navy Corpsman Joe Burns. Joe was injured by an IED in Afghanistan and will spend a short time home with his family before returning to the hospital and rehabilitation. We thank Joe for his service on our behalf and wish him well as he continues with his corpsman duties. And now we do have a presentation. I'm going to present a proclamation to American Red Cross declaring March American Red Cross Month. And I understand we have 4 representatives from the Red Cross here, and I normally dispense with a lot of whereases, but you helped us so much in the last 6 months. I'm just going to read it. Proclamation declaring March 2011 as American Red Cross Month, whereas the American Red Cross Bay Area was founded in 1898, and whereas the Red Cross, a leading voluntary agency chartered and authorized by Congress to act in times of need, providing compassionate assistance to people afflicted by personal, local, or national disasters. And whereas the American Red Cross Bay Area helped 1,773 families with temporary housing, clothing, food, and mental health counseling during 392 local disasters last year alone. And whereas the Red Cross volunteers responded to approximately 392 local emergencies this year, providing food, clothing, shelter, and mental health support. And whereas people have counted on the Red Cross for the information and skills they need to be safe at home, at work, at school, and at play. Last year, the American Red Cross Bay Area trained over 143,000 people in life-saving CPR, first aid, and water safety. And whereas through Prepare Bay Area initiative and community preparedness programs, over 282,000 individuals received training. And whereas the Red Cross staff deploy with the U.S. military to provide emergency communications, counseling, financial assistance, and a caring presence to 1,348 local military families. Whereas the Red Cross Blood Services support 31 Bay Area hospitals, providing them with more than 134,000 units of red blood cells, platelets, and plasma to patients in need. Now therefore, be it resolved that I, Jim Ruane, Mayor of the City of San Bruno, hereby proclaim March 2011 as American Red Cross Month in San Bruno. And I encourage all residents to be cognizant of the compassion, the courage, the character, civic duty that is inherent in the Red Cross mission to prevent and relieve human suffering. So I'll present this at the podium.
Honorable Mayor and council members, my name is Matt Lucette, and on behalf of the Leadership Council for the Red Cross here in San Mateo County, we want to thank you for this proclamation. Over the last year, our volunteers in San Mateo County responded to 42 incidents and assisted 222 individuals throughout our county. And that does not include the continuing effort here in San Bruno following the events in September. And we're continuing with that long-term recovery effort, as you're aware. In addition, our volunteers have trained over 28,000 people throughout the county in disaster preparedness and over 17,000 in first aid, CPR, and water safety. So we want to make sure that everybody's aware that we have a response role, whether it be to help people following a house fire with shelter needs or distribution of comfort kits or mental health issues, to helping our local first responders following a significant event like the coordination with a search and rescue operation or something similar to what we had here last September. So again, we have a lot of resources that we provide, whether it's coming to our place to volunteer or to take a class. We really want people to focus on 3 areas: having a plan, building a kit, and getting involved. And they can do that through the Red Cross here in San Mateo County. A couple of upcoming activities we want to let you know about. This Saturday, we're having CPR Saturday. This is the opportunity for people to come to learn CPR free of charge. We've got 2 classes. It's going to be held at the Martin Luther King Center in San Mateo. In addition to that, we have our Heroes Breakfast, which is on Thursday, June 9th. And that is our opportunity to thank volunteers from around the community for doing something for individuals above and beyond the call of duty. So that'll be held at the Poplar Creek Grill in San Mateo. So you'll be getting more information on that. If anybody's interested in that or volunteering with the Red Cross or taking a class, they can go to redcrossbayarea.org and all the information is there. So with that, I want to thank you again on behalf of the Leadership Council for this proclamation. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again for all the work you do. You were extraordinary in helping us. Review of the agenda, item number 5. I would like to move item 11, which is the annual report from Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee, up to right after public hearings, item number 8. Any other changes? Okay, seeing none. Approval of the minutes of the City Council meetings of February 8th and 22nd, 2011. Any errors, omissions, corrections? Seeing none, they'll be approved as submitted. Item number 7, consent calendar. All items are considered routine or implemented early or council action and may be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion unless requested by a council member, citizen, or staff. Any action on the consent calendar?
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion, second on the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Item 8, public hearings. We have a public hearing this evening. Notices have been published, posted, and mailed. Hold a public hearing to consider an amendment to the Public Improvements Reimbursement Agreement between the City of San Bruno and the San Bruno Redevelopment Agency. We have 2 items. The first one is adopt a resolution approving amendment to the Public Improvements Reimbursement Agreement between the City and the Redevelopment Agency. And the second one is item B, adopt a resolution approving an amendment to the Public Improvements Reimbursement Agreement between the Redevelopment Agency and the City. Staff?
Through the chair. Similar to last meeting, I will need to recuse myself due to my residency.
I'm going to also recuse myself for the same reason.
Thank you and good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. About 2 months ago, as the Council knows, Governor Brown proposed a budget that included the elimination of all redevelopment agencies. And part of this proposal will only allow future tax increment to be used for existing obligations. With this in mind, the City Council approved a reimbursement agreement between the agency and the city, which contractually binds the agency to fund and support critical plan for public improvement projects at a February City Council meeting. Per the direction of the City Council, the staff is now before you tonight with a resolution to amend this obligation to also include 2 public facilities. both the library that has been planned for years, as well as the Station 51 renovation, or the new Station 51. As the council knows, both of these have been named in city documents, including the city's general plan, as well as the city's redevelopment plan. These were not brought forward with the first resolution because there's specific public noticing requirements that are entailed whenever public facilities are going to be funded. So those have been met, those public noticing requirements, and tonight is the public hearing that's also required by law. As Jim O'Leary has noted in the past, although a number of cities have moved forward with these obligations or these contractual obligations, the state's opinion is that these will not suffice in the end. However, we do disagree with that, as well as a number of other cities disagree with that. So with that, I could take any questions regarding this resolution.
Any questions of staff? All right, we're going to open the public hearing. Would anyone in the public like to speak on this item? If I close the public hearing, you're going to be precluded from speaking on this item again. Action.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
We have been through this before. This is the addition of a couple of other items that were brought up very thoughtfully by you, Irene. Any action by the City Council? Or would you like to say something first?
I'd like to say something again. I said something last time, but I'd like to, again, thank the staff for all their hard work. It was a shuffle and not so much a hassle, but they really had to put it all together in a very short time, and there's a lot of nuances in the law, and they have to do it right. So they did it, and I'm extremely excited that this might happen. It's one of my dreams to have a new library for San Bruno, so hopefully this is one step forward.
Good.
So with that, I'd like to introduce the resolution.
All right, there's two resolutions. The first one is adopt a resolution approving amendment to the Public Improvements Reimbursement Agreement between the city and the Redevelopment Agency. That has been introduced.
Council Agency Member O'Connell.
Aye.
Council Agency Member Ibarra.
Aye.
Mayor Chair Ruane.
Aye. And would someone like to introduce the second resolution?
I'll introduce.
And that's a resolution to adopt a resolution approving an amendment to the Public Improvements Reimbursement Agreement between the Redevelopment Agency and the city.
Council Agency Member Ibarra.
Aye.
Council Agency Member O'Connell.
Aye.
Mayor Chair Ruane.
Aye. You can ask our council members to come back in.
Mr. Mayor, before
Yes.
they come back in, if I can make a couple of comments,
Please.
just to update you. Actually, I think they can come back in. They can come back in. They
No,
can
let's
hear
leave
this.
Come in.
No, let's leave them outside.
We'll let you listen.
I just wanted to update you on the status of the consideration to eliminate redevelopment as part of the governor's budget. Since you last acted on this topic 2 weeks ago, there's been a fair amount of movement, as we expected that there would be. This is a very active period for the state legislature and the governor's office related to the annual budget development. As you may have already heard, the Budget Conference Committee has endorsed the governor's budget, including the elimination of redevelopment, which was not particularly good news in terms of the issues that we're considering. That said, the governor has publicly acknowledged that he does not have the votes at this moment to pass the budget through both houses of the legislature. So at this point, the date when that will be heard in the legislature is not yet certain. As you know, the actions that you have taken are under consideration and/or have been taken by agencies up and down the state, many of them receiving the same or similar advice from their legal counsel with expertise in redevelopment. So we understand that the legislature's action, when and if it does occur, might also include trailer bills that would eliminate the effectiveness or would block the effectiveness of the action that you took 2 weeks ago and the action that you've just taken. Although our membership organizations, the League of California Cities and the California Redevelopment Association, both advise that the action to abolish redevelopment would be unconstitutional. That continues to be hotly debated, and at this point there is no immediate path to resolution of the very serious issues related to this topic and the state's budget. There is no immediate path to resolution. Both CRA and the League of California Cities have regrettably been pushed to a position of coming out very recently, I believe as of today, identifying that they will not support the governor's proposals for tax continuation, which are obviously critical to the budget that he has proposed, if that budget proposal continues to include the elimination of redevelopment. So in summary, I would simply say that this continues to be an open and very hotly debated issue that we still believe will be resolved timely for the result to be incorporated in our budget development as that moves forward over the next couple of months.
All right, thank you very much. Please keep us posted. We're going to hear item 11 now, which is the receipt of the annual report from the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee. I see some members in the audience.
Honorable Mayor Jim Ruane and honorable members of our City Council. Before I make the report, I just want to thank you for all the things that you've been going through in helping our citizens that endured the terrible disaster of September 9th in the Crestmore 2 area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
In 2002, the City Council created the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and it was charged with many things, and the first thing we did was to develop a mission statement, and then we set some goals and objectives, and we wanted to establish our own identity. So at that time, Emil Hans was on our committee, and we created this logo, incorporating the city logo with bicycle and pedestrians in the logo itself. We also, at our own expense, because we know the city budget is under stress, we bought our own shirts, so when we go out to the community, we're easily identified, and that's what we've been doing. The third thing we did was to create a binder which contains the ordinances, our mission, and the accomplishments and achievements that our committee has done over the last 9 years. So the next slide will show you the makeup of our committee. We have 4 members at large, and they're the only ones that can attain the rank of chair and vice chair. And then, in addition to that, we have representatives from the Park and Recreation Commission and the Planning Commission and the Traffic Safety and Parking Committee also. We're very lucky to have another liaison and a member from the City Council. Currently, it's Ken, and he's been to our meetings, he knows what we're doing, and we always feel that we're open to talk with him for guidance and direction. We are blessed with 2, well, I was a charter member of this committee, and all the professional staff that we've had have been outstanding people. But at the current time, we are blessed with 2 outstanding professionals in Laura Russell and Jim Shannon, and not to show preference, Jim Shannon and Laura Russell. And they have been absolutely super in supporting our efforts, guiding us, and directing us to grants and things that I'll mention in the report. Next slide, please. This is one of our outreach activities and education that we do. Every April, there's Bike to Work, and I have to really commend Walter Bird, who's been the forefront of this effort in establishing a wonderful relationship with the Peninsula Traffic Congestion and Relief Alliance. And one of the functions that they do is to run this event, which has energizer stations in South San Francisco and Millbrae in our Northern Peninsula area. And I made a boo-boo. I forgot to introduce our committee. So our chair is George Yang, and he is leading us at the current time. And then charter member is Walter Bird, who's been a real leader in our committee. And Mrs. May is here. She's not on our committee anymore, but for many years she was one of our strong members. And thank you very much for that. Okay, back to the presentation. Our next outreach is the Posey Parade. This is our 7th year. We've been working with the city and the Lions Club. And, Kawani? Ken, what is it? Lions, right? The Posey Parade people? I've got too much. I'm going to the Parks and Rec Conference tomorrow. My mind is on my speech for that. We set up a booth at the entrance of City Park, and as all the parade people come passing, we pass out our mission statement. The Alliance has always provided us with wonderful posters and toys for the kids, and we really generate a lot. And another person I'd like to recognize, you can see Walter on the right side of the picture, but Mrs. Bird, Doreen Bird, has been to every event, and she's been a wonderful, and there she is right there. Arbor Day, we're very active in as well. John Muir School in Crestmore 3 has had a cleanup day. And in Parks and Recreation, many years ago, they created a native plant garden in an area that was just an eyesore, and we brought them down to the commission and gave them an award. So we are continuing our efforts to reach out to the community and actively participate. Walter and Doreen and I were there cleaning up the school grounds, and then when that concluded, we went down to the city park and we set up another table similar to this one for Arbor Day, and we once again gave out our materials, and we had these wonderful posters from the county that the kids really enjoyed of the Giants and the 49ers and other professional sports. Next. Our outreach, one thing we're very proud of is our bicycle safety workshop. We've had one super successful one, and we are in the planning stages for one that's coming up in May. And we are, another thing that we've really made an effort, and this is Walter again, we've reached out to the Peninsula Traffic Congestion Relief Alliance, and they're an agency right here in Bay Hill, and we've made a relationship with Karen Sumner, and one of the last acts that Mayor Franzella did was to give her a proclamation for her great support with her agency in our city. The next one is the future planning of transit corridors. We're in the process of doing this now. We depend on our staff. Laura and Jim are absolutely terrific in keeping us appraised of what funds are out there, what we should be doing, and what we shouldn't be doing. And we thank them for that. Next slide, please. Our goals, as you can see, we begin work on the pedestrian and bicycle master plan. We've been doing that for a long time. Many of us took the walking tour, I think it was 2 years ago, when we went down to San Mateo Avenue, and we were very active in that. And we continue community outreach with our public service announcements. That's what PSA stands for. And we have a very good relationship via our staff with cable TV. And we've had 2 wonderful PSAs, a Stop, Look, and a Wave program, which you've seen on cable TV. And we're working on 1 or 2 more coming up in the future. We want to thank you for your support, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Dave?
Through the chair.
Ken?
Mr. Mayor, the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee has come a long way and has
7 years, 8 years that it's been together. And we've seen, as a representative of this city and the county Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee, we've seen the city take advantage of funding, of grant funding in bicycle lanes and bicycle paving improvements, pedestrian improvements. And your committee has been a big part of that. What I'd like to see is that continued commitment, and also, since we don't have borders on bicycling and walking, that we connect with the good folks in South City and Millbrae too, because we are known to have a good BPAT in the county, and I think we need to reach out to South City, and Millbrae is just starting one, so we can help them out too.
We're proud of our bicycle path on Sneath Lane. We help staff by dividing up the committee members, going into the Mills area and looking at the handicap access to the sidewalks, and we have other things on the agenda.
And at $4 a gallon and going up, there's going to be a lot more two-wheelers and walkers out there.
We want people to get on their bikes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments for Dave? I'd just like to say, you know, this is the city with a heart, and the commissions, boards, and committees are that lifeblood that makes that heart pump. It really works, and we couldn't do without you. People don't realize the depth of our volunteerism in this city, and it's extraordinary. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one last thing, as a point of information, Mark Rosekind on the NTSB grew up in Crestmore, went to John Muir School, Engvall Intermediate School, Crestmore High School. He went to Stanford, became an international authority on narcolepsy and sleep problems, and President Obama nominated him, and he's now on the NTSB. His first case was when Congressman Stevens died in the airplane crash in Alaska.
Yeah, we
So
had
we're very
discussions
proud
with
of him.
them, especially on how to sleep in Washington after a long flight, actually. So, all right, thank you very much. Item number 9, public comment on items not on the agenda. It is the council's policy to refer matters raised in this forum to staff for investigation and or action where appropriate. The Brown Act prohibits the council from discussing or acting upon any matter not agendized pursuant to state law. Would anyone like to address the council on items not on the agenda?
I think so.
Yes, please step to the podium, please. And we would ask you state your name and your street name.
Hi, my name is Ann MacDonald. I grew up on Claremont Drive in San Bruno, and my parents were greatly affected by what happened. Their house was green tagged and changed to yellow shortly after they let us in on reentry. I just have a short thing to read, and then I have a presentation for the city. On behalf of my family, I want to thank all of the city's fire and police departments who responded to this emergency. We know you did everything you could to save as much as you did. On Friday at the rec center, I was overwhelmed by the amount of people coming to help. I can't imagine the efforts it took to coordinate the relief help over the next several days, including the reentry. It was frustrating not being able to get to the house for 3 days, but after we saw the devastation with our own eyes, it was easy to understand why. As we thanked people helping us and our parents, their only response was to get through this and then pay it forward. Making the quilt is how I started my own healing process, and it is the beginning of my paying it forward. This quilt is thanks for community that came together, for the Red Cross who was always there in an emergency, for the firemen who raised a flag in respect, for the photos salvaged from the wreckage at the Pellegrini's home. A quilt is made by many pieces sewn together. For me, it represents everyone who came together because of a tragedy and who will move forward together as a neighborhood and as a community. So I present this to you, and all of you who worked so hard. It's made from T-shirts that I collected from the firehouses, and San Bruno's actually was the hardest to get, and it was the last one that I got. But I I wanted to make something to say thank you because it just didn't seem like enough. Thank you. Thank you for leaving. And if I may tell some of the items on here, these 4 red squares are to represent the Red Cross and for all that you did to help. We saw, as my sisters and I went back with our parents, the Red Cross volunteers walking the streets in the neighborhood to see if people needed anything once they got back home. Oh, I'm okay. Once they got back home, this picture here was a sign our neighbors had put up on their home to say thank you to everyone, and I thought it was good representation. So many people helped. It's impossible to say thank you to everyone. So I'm hoping that says it all. These are the photos the Pellegrini said we could take pictures of that were salvaged from the wreckage of their home. So they were able to have something left. This is the date and time of the event and a song lyrics called My City of Ruins. It's a Bruce Springsteen song. It's very moving and just made me think of this all the time. And this last photo over here is of the corner of Glenview and Claremont that I took on Christmas Day. It just looked very quiet and peaceful, and it had the flowers and poinsettias, and I just hope it can represent a new beginning and people being able to heal and move forward. Thank you. One very important thing, I have 8 stars on the bottom for the 8 people who lost their lives. That will always be remembered with this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to accept this on behalf of the city of San Bruno, the council, and everyone. And this will be hanging in our city hall tomorrow, along with the literally hundreds and hundreds of well-wishers and notes and pictures and just memories. So this will never go away. This tragedy has changed our city forever. But thank you very much. We are still on public comment. Would anyone else like to address the council?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council and staff that's here tonight. My name is Ray Mogul. I'm in Fleetwood Drive. And after that last presentation, I feel pretty small. But a couple of things that I've brought up in the past, and they're rearing their ugly head again. On Rollingwood, just below Fleetwood, there is the strip of land which the PG&E pipeline comes through. And again, the shrubbery has grown up and obliterating the speed limit sign there that needs a haircut again. And down on Fleetwood, there is a property owner that makes Sanford and Son look like a hospital operating room with all the stuff that is stored in their front yard. And apparently this has been an ongoing problem. Just curious if anything has progressed since then. And lastly, I'm finding since the fire and with PG&E coming through the Rollingwood area to clean up their strip of land, the area is becoming inundated with roof rats. And we might want to think about possibility of, in the utility bills or whatever, informing the residents so that they keep their eyes out, because a lot of them are not aware they're there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we'll get on this right away. Staff has heard what you had to say. Anyone else under public comment? All right, we'll go to item 10, conduct of business. The first item is receive an oral report on the city's participation in the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, investigative hearing held in Washington, D.C. last week, March 1st to the 3rd, 2011. And I'll begin with Connie.
Great. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, actually the previous public comment speaker provides actually a nice lead-in to the comments that I wanted to make tonight, and that was Just to give a basic overview of the hearing itself, the two council members who attended as well will have some comments in addition. But I think that the most important thing was that our presence at this important hearing was intended to give a face, if you will, and provide the representation to the community of San Bruno that was so devastatingly affected by the incident that is now being studied in a very methodical and kind of almost dry way with this public hearing and other investigative activities. I was particularly pleased to see that the opening remarks provided both by the chairperson, who, the lady in the blue in the picture that you're seeing right now, as well as the lead investigator, a gentleman by the name of Ravi Chatre. Both of their comments that provided introduction to the hearing itself did actually give a very complete and I would say compassionate and true overview of the event itself, the incident that so dramatically affected our community. And I think that framed the discussion and gave life to the fact that this was really about something that doesn't just have scientific, technical, or operational issues, ramifications, but really has truly and profoundly and forever affected a community and the lives of so many people. The hearing itself was an overview of, in detail. It occurred over a 2.5-day period and dived into a number of different areas that I'm going to touch on just very briefly, in the hopes that it might spur some interest among persons in the community who might not have already had a chance to take a look at the hearing proceedings themselves. The first half day was about PG&E operations and covered some of the issues related to the incident itself and what was going on at the Milpitas Control Center, how the SCADA system, the electronic operational system was working, and how PG&E manages its system and this type of, or incidents, emergency incidents. The afternoon focused on PG&E's integrity management and covered issues primarily related to inspection, maintenance, and operation of the pipeline infrastructure itself. Day two, it covered in the morning a panel of witnesses that provided expertise in the area of public awareness. And it was at this time that our Fire Chief, Dennis Haig, participated as a witness on the panel and received and responded to questions related to what residents of San Bruno might have known about the existence of the pipeline, how it was operated and maintained. In general terms, and he didn't respond to these questions, but other panel members took questions related to federal and state regulations about public information related to pipelines and their hazards, their potential hazards, and how those were implemented by PG&E both prior to and since the incident in San Bruno. Day number two in the afternoon focused on a panel of state and federal regulators from the California Public Utilities Commission and from the National Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. That panel focused on regulations that pertain to the type of infrastructure system that PG&E operates, how it's operated, how it's maintained and inspected, and detailed some of the federal regulations, and again, how do those pertain to the situation that's under investigation. Lastly, a half day was spent on the technologies of inspection, exciting new opportunities for new tools to be available to the industry, and the industry perspective about the inspection, maintenance, and operation of pipelines, particularly high-pressure pipelines such as we have here in San Bruno. This public hearing is only a part. It's been described to me by one person as Act 1 of a 3-act scenario having to do with the NTSB's investigation. And so there is, as our community I think is well aware and has been very patient, this is a long, detailed, and very methodical, thorough process. I can say coming away from this week-long experience in Washington, D.C. and attendance at the entire hearing, participation in the entire hearing, that this was not only an opportunity for the public to gain an insight or a window into the investigative process that has now been going on literally for 6 months and will likely take at least another 6 months to completion. It also contributed to the fact-finding that is a critical part of that process. There were a number of issues discussed in detail, and I think there were a number of new pieces of information that supplement the volumes of material that the NTSB has already gathered and is meticulously going through as part of its investigation. As I said, the investigation has at least another 6 to 9 months to go before it is finally complete. And I think we can be very much assured that that investigation will result in a credible conclusion that validates what happened and why it happened. It will not assign blame or liability per se, but I am quite confident, as I'm sure the 2 council members would agree, that this process is thorough, it is deliberative, and is intended to get straight to the heart of the many issues that need to be troubleshooted and evaluated in order to be able to determine literally for once and for all what exactly happened here. And as we said many times, as we were asked what was the city's interest and why were we there, and wasn't it a substantial commitment for the city of San Bruno to be present at a hearing like this, our answer was that it was important to the city of San Bruno, to its community, to the persons who were so devastatingly affected by this incident. But our interest is that if in at least a small way we can contribute through this horrible situation to this never happening again anywhere to anybody else. With that, and let me just say, these pictures, we would like to be able to say that we took these really terrific pictures, but we obtained them from the AP, and this event was well documented. And I hope that by the pictures, residents and any interested party can see, get a little glimpse of the formality and the environment in which this hearing took place. Since I haven't stopped yet, just one more thing, and that is that the hearing in its entirety is available on the NTSB's website. It will be available for at least another couple of months at ntsb.gov. It can also be accessed through the city's website on the Glenview page through a link that's titled NTSB. And I would encourage anybody who has even a passing interest to take a look at it, because it's actually segmented very well, and you can actually go to pieces that might be of your interest, and I think it's very worthwhile. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. Councilmember Medina. Some words?
I think the mayor will probably say most of it, but I just wanted to I think this is nothing that the council nor staff would ever have imagined a year ago that we would be asked, and I thought important for us to attend over in Washington, D.C., an NTSB hearing. It's something that's unprecedented, but was important, as the city manager said. And I've already said that when we were back in Washington, but I wanted to compliment the staff for all of their diligence and their hard work. This is something, again, unprecedented for us as the city of San Bruno. And I thought, once again, as the mayor would always say, as a team, we did very well in this defining moment, but once again. I also want to compliment the mayor and all of his activities and work, because obviously, as you probably saw on the TV, they wanted to speak with him quite frequently about many things. And I think our mayor represented the city well, and I think our staff provided good representation and support to us. I was very honored to represent the city of San Bruno, and I think it was a necessity for us to be present so that what happened on September the 9th has a face and an understanding, for we saw it that night, and we have lived with it ever since then. There was a moment in the hearing that there was a tape shown for about 1.5 minutes of the actual explosion being taped from Earl. I had not seen that. And at that moment, at least for myself and I think for the mayor, it was almost going back in time to that night, listening to it, watching it as we stood in Glenview. And it was so surreal again, almost as a flashback to that moment in time. And as odd as it was to watch it again in that scenario instead of what I did on September the 9th, it again reassured me why we were there and the importance of us being there. But it also again made me very proud of the city that I'm honored to be a council member of and that I've been privileged to call home my entire life. I think the whole council was there in Washington, D.C., the entire citizenry and the staff, and I think it was an effort on everybody's part that allowed us to be a part of that. And I hope, as we've all said, so that we can make changes, move forward, and ensure that no community has to face and go through what we have thus far.
Thank you. For me, thorough, non-political, very revealing testimony, and going forward, it's probably not our last trip to Washington, D.C. All of the board members expressed their deepest concern and sympathy for San Bruno and its residents, personally, each one of them. The introduction to the hearings, as Connie and Rico said, included a short but very powerful video of that evening and really set the stage for these hearings. I do want to thank City Manager Connie and her staff, especially Sergeant Caldwell and Chief Haig and Clara Fabry, for their tireless efforts in presenting our story, and also Councilmember Medina for helping me represent the human side of this story in this city. We saw an awful lot of talk about measurements and maximum operating pressures and seam wells and pup wells and all different kinds of technical things. But our focus was to keep the human side of this continuing story in the forefront and not let it get lost in all the technical discussion that we heard about pressures and equations. We emphasize very strongly that the cost of the lives we lost and the residents injured is incalculable. There was a lot of talk about cost, and we continue to remind the NTSB, the staff, as well as the other participants that I think in terms of lives, not so much money. We never want this to happen again anywhere, and that's why we have to keep it in the forefront, a national issue. As I've said to a lot of people, my greatest fear is that the hole gets filled and the street gets paved, and somebody comes up to me 4 or 5 years from now and says, didn't you guys have a fire or something in San Bruno a few years ago? And I and this council and this city will not let that happen. So this is a national issue now, as well it should be, because this unfortunate incident, this terrible tragedy, could have happened anywhere in this country. So we're there to continue helping. This is uncharted territory for us. It's another chapter in a book that we have no clue how long it's going to be, but we're here for you, and we'll continue to be here. So it was very, very worthwhile, and like I said, it's probably not our last trip back. So With that, I think we'll move to item 10B. Receive City Council Donations Subcommittee Oral Report.
Thank you, Mayor Wayne. Our report tonight will be brief, but both Irene and I feel that it is important to continue to report back on what the committee is doing and how much progress we're making. To date, we have, well, I should say that we met as a subcommittee on March 1st, and that included both Councilmember O'Connell, myself, and the 3 residents from Glenview that are assisting us on the committee. And during that meeting, we reviewed the roughly 24 applications that had come in up to that point. I wanted to comment that that number seems relatively small, but I believe it is telling that there are people that are working through issues in the area still. And unfortunately, the number was relatively small. We didn't know what we were going to get when we send out the applications, but we do have those applications. We've begun the process of reviewing those, and we will continue to evaluate those. The submittal opportunity is going to continue through May 1st. That's when we'll stop accepting the applications, but we will continue to review them as they come in, and hopefully we'll continue the momentum and continue to address these issues as they come up.
Questions of the
Through the
committee?
chair, if I could ask the committee, could you, if you're able to divulge somewhat what describes some of the requests or what type of requests were? Because it's my understanding these are requests that were not recognized the first go around, or they're actually asking for additional funding, or can you give a little more insight?
The applications ranged all over the place. The application itself, if you remember, says for extreme and unexpected expenses, and that's what we're hoping people will ask and detail in their application. And like I said, we're getting all sorts of requests, so we're kind of waiting until we get everybody's together and evaluate everyone's at the same time.
So I guess what I'm getting at, if I can continue, is that the first distribution was based on the condition of their property.
Yes.
And so is it fair to say that these subsequent requests are not involved with the condition of their property? These are the condition of their lives?
No. Like I said, we're
Okay.
we're getting it from everyone in the neighborhood, from all sorts of requests. It's all over the map, I guess is the easiest way to say it.
And if it helps answer your question, without giving away too many details, because some of these things are very personal in nature, and we definitely don't want to violate anyone's privacy. Sure. But the requests did range in the entire spectrum, from material things to more subjective things, and of course that makes it difficult to evaluate, but one of the things that we are working toward is establishing some criteria that will let us make those decisions fairly. And off the top of my head, I do believe that some of the requests, at least, were residents that received money during the first distribution that we did, and there are some that did not receive money in that first distribution.
Thank you.
Another component of what we're hoping to do is we're also evaluating what people are asking and are directing them, or will be directing them, toward as many other resources that are applicable as possible. So Red Cross will be getting more people involved, and anyone else we can think of. So we don't want to leave anyone in the lurch, no matter what happens.
Great. Thank you for the report and for the work you're doing. I know it's not the easiest task. Item C, adopt a resolution approving change in existing 1-hour time parking restrictions to 2-hour along San Mateo Avenue in the downtown area.
Okay, we did that.
Honorable Mayor, Council members, good evening. I have the wrong presentation. I will change in a second. Again, I will not start with good evening. Back in 2009, the San Bruno Chamber of Commerce sent a letter of request to the city to change the 1 hour parking on San Mateo Avenue to a 2-hour parking limit. Subsequently, our department conducted a parking assessment study, made a recommendation, and the recommendation to change the parking from 1 hour to 2 hours was presented to the Traffic Safety and Parking Committee in February of this year. The study area included in the department assessment for this recommendation was San Mateo Avenue, all of the public parking lots close adjacent to San Mateo Avenue, and also available private and public parking around the area. Is how you see and how you read in your report is in the study area is a combination of 1 hour parking, 2 hour, 5 hours, or unlimited. In the study area, you have private lots, which represent 38% of the parking available. You have city on-street parking, 18%, city lots close to San Mateo Avenue, 28%, Caltrain, 6%, and on the parking, on-street parking on San Mateo Avenue represent 10% of the available parking. You have here a on this chart, you can see that the 1 hour parking, in essence, represent 28% of the parking, 2% 2 hours, 26% 5 hours, and some restricted parking with 44%. Little bit over 51% of the parking available in the study area around, in essence, in downtown, is little bit over half. The conclusion of the assessment was that during overall the demand peaks during the weekday evenings. During those time on-street parking on San Mateo Avenue exceed 85%, which really mean from a technical point of view, when something in an area the occupancy is higher than 85%, is considered full. In the same time, also the assessment showed that overall in the study area in the downtown is only just 51% is the overall percentage. The department also conducted follow-up survey with all of the businesses on San Mateo Avenue. 73 survey was collected. 63 of those businesses were supportive of changing the parking from 1 hour to 2 hour. 5 of the businesses would have preferred to maintain 1 hour instead of 2 hour, and 5 businesses had no preference. Changing the parking limit from 1 hour to 2 hour will have a positive impact on businesses on San Mateo in the way that will give additional flexibility for patrons parked on San Mateo Avenue to stay longer on San Mateo Avenue and in the businesses on San Mateo. In the same time, decreasing the will decrease the parking turnover on San Mateo Avenue with 50%. Also, PD will need to reroute and to change the route for parking enforcement. The cost is a very rough estimate, will cost around up to $6,000 or $9,000, but the department is working on alternative. This cost seems a little bit high, and is our intent to come up with solution which will cost us much less. I will mention also that during the discussion at the TSPC committee, they voted 4-1 to approve the change of the parking, and also their recommendation was to ask the chamber to pay for the cost of implementation of this change. But how I mentioned before is our department working diligently to decrease the cost for the implementation. Our recommendation is to for you to consider the approval of changing the parking limit on San Mateo Avenue from 1 hour to 2 hours, and to conduct a follow-up performance assessment study after 1 year, and to come back with you with the outcome and the result of the implementation of this change. If you have any question, Tina Ching, our traffic engineer, and myself will try to answer your question.
Any questions of staff this time?
If I could, through the chair.
Ken?
Is there any discussion about, I know there was discussion about employees and things, but how to keep employees off of those prime spots? Yeah, even though it's 2-hour parking, they can switch around and things, but I know there was stickers and talk of stickers and putting them in, you know, in the, or having unlimited parking in certain.
As part of this assessment was no discussion about having any follow-up discussion with businesses, how to advocate and how to work with them to make sure that they will create more available parking on San Mateo for the visitors versus their own employee. I can have some follow-up discussion with the chambers.
I know it's a concern in other cities, even when they have meters.
Yes.
Is to make sure that those employees don't take the prime spots for customers. And now that you've increased it, I mean, at 1 hour, it's probably not that desirable for an employee to park in front of close to their store. Now with 2 hours, it makes it a little easier, that you can at least stay there for, an additional hour. So I would like to hear how those businesses and how that's going to be handled.
I am available of the general work with the businesses and their desire to make more parking space available in front of the businesses, and to basically require them to park on other locations. But I will follow up specifically how the city can do even more to make sure that the businesses will be focusing on that aspect.
And I'd like to expand on what you said about the TSPC and the staff report, is that I think it should start with that committee as far as the suggestion of wayfaring signage, getting a little more information along San Mateo Avenue, guiding our shoppers and our residents to those back lots that are underutilized.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Sure. I can understand and appreciate the report and the recommendation. What I wanted to understand, because if I remember this item came up in regards last time about costs and who bears the cost. And it barely passed, but it did pass, and so this is what we have implemented. But my understanding too is even within the policy, if it was to benefit a business, a property owner, then they would bear the cost. If it was going to affect and benefit a neighborhood, in this case a district, then that wouldn't be a cost. And now we're saying, it was recommended by the TSPC, the chamber. Well, I don't know that they're all chamber members all on San Mateo Avenue. So I question why they would be paying. I do question the cost. Also, let's say you replace these signs, and with all the other things that are currently going on in the corridor plan, what if we change things again? So we're going to have more signs. So I think there's a cheaper way to do it. Concerns me when we're having a $6,000 to $9,000 cost. It also concerns me in regards to why the chamber, the merchants, when it's trying to better the district and promote business, which we certainly need down there, why we would want to have that cost bear on to them.
I just want to clarify, it wasn't part of my recommendation to ask the chamber to pay for the cost. I just represented correctly the TSPC recommendation on this subject. And just also to clarify, this request was so-called godfathered in, that the policy was changed after this application and this request came to us, that the new procedure would not this application would not fall under the new procedure. And even in our new procedure, how you rightfully recall, Councilmember Medina, is in each case is a judgment call. If it's only just one business interest versus general public interest. And it's always a case-by-case decision for the cost. If it's a public interest, then would be public money would be used to pay for the
And I can appreciate the TSPC being mindful of the current costs and the budget of the city. I think that, as you, I think, are indicating, that is a council decision, but I think the city needs to initiate these type of changes. The city needs to be in the forefront of trying to make things better in order to bring business, which helps everybody in the end in this community. So that's, and I do realize that that was just you bringing forward their recommendation.
Anyone else?
Through the chair.
Mike?
One quick question. Can you explain to us what the evaluation process is going to look like in 12 months? How do we determine whether this was successful or not?
In meantime, at least 2 times or 3 times, the city wasn't a process developed, but exactly what dates. The city will conduct a follow-up survey just to reassess the occupancy rate for in the same study area, and then also to conduct a follow-up survey with the businesses to see if the expected outcome desired by everybody. Unfortunately, I think it's mine. Probably it's time for me to. And then also to conduct a follow-up survey to see the level of satisfaction or what is the perception and opinion of those businesses along San Mateo after 1 year of implementation.
Okay. Do you anticipate any skewed data based on the fact that there might be more open storefronts at one time versus another that would impact the demand for parking in the area?
Well, certainly that will have a certain limited impact. But overall, I think that's why you are making those assessments, not just the once, but at least twice, and hopefully you will be able to capture a pretty reasonable cross-section and to have a close to some factual information.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think it's a good idea. I mean, you don't want to eat and run downtown. I mean, that's what a lot of people are doing now.
It's all about eating.
I don't know the chamber's financial situation, but I would imagine they don't have $6,000 to $9,000 to pay for new signs, especially when the fact that this will be 2 hours and evaluated over a year-long period could change. I mean, I can't see, why we couldn't, just like you do on your license plate, get some metallic stickers with a 2 on them and put them right over the 1. Would be real cheap to do. Yeah, right, a Sharpie. A Sharpie. And as far as the employees parking, I think if in fact that affected the businesses downtown, they'd get the word real quick from the business owners that they better park in the back, not in the front. So I think it'll work its way out, but I think it's a long time coming. We should have done it a while ago, and I'm all for it.
Should have had meters a long time ago.
Any more discussion? Action by the council?
Introduce resolution?
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Ibera.
Aye. Aye.
Vice Mayor Salazar.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. Item D, receive a report on proposed street rehabilitation priorities.
And I am on the right presentation now. You have a very comprehensive staff report on this subject, and also you have attached to your staff report the executive summary of the study itself. I will just take you through a very few highlight of the study. The first pavement management study was done for San Bruno in 2005. Subsequent to the development of that study on the condition of the city's pavement was a presentation by the department to the council in 2008. MTC, in my brain still MTSP, and I cannot yet let go. MTC in 2009 hired Nichols Consultant Engineering to develop a pavement management program for all of the cities on the peninsula. This study, the update of that study was finalized in 2009 for San Bruno. In November of 2010, the recommendation of the study was presented to the infrastructure subcommittee, and based on their recommendation, I am taking this subject matter for your consideration. Our transportation system in the city of San Bruno has 54% are residential and local streets, 18% arterial streets, and 28% of our transportation system is part of a collector system. Based on the findings of the study, overall in San Bruno, the average pavement condition index is 64. Is 51% of our roads are in good condition, 20% in fair, 22% in poor, and 6% in very poor condition. What is the good news is the fact that our arterials are still in pretty reasonable shape, pretty good shape. What is the bad news that little bit over half of our streets are in a fair or poor condition. Overall, to place this number in context, how the whole region is doing, in our region, the PCI is 66 for the whole region. How is stated in MTC's regional goal for 2035 is the stated goal to get to a 75 pavement condition index. just showing here all of the cities versus San Bruno, and as you can see, 4 cities has lower PCI than San Bruno is Woodside, Pacifica, Millbrae, and Belmont. Just this information was presented to you in the staff report and also back a few years ago, that you really want to, the main purpose of pavement management really to invest in time in our system to minimize cost. That if you are not extending the life and not preserving the life of the pavement, then will cost the public more to basically to rebuild and to repair those roads. In the last 3 years, San Bruno invested in our pavement in our streets for in our street rehabilitation program, which basically means either preventive maintenance or preventive maintenance, rehabilitation, or reconstruction. The city invested 4.2 million, of which 1.2 million was federal fund. That really means, in average, in the last 3 years, the city invested 1.2 million in our street rehabilitation program, and in the last 5 years, an average of $840,000 of dollar. In the study, the consultant came up with 4 possible alternative based on the survey and the existence of the condition of our pavement, with 4 alternatives to eliminate all of the backlog for maintenance need and on our road system would mean that the city will need to invest 3.5 million on a yearly basis. In this case, by 2020, then the backlog of maintenance could be eliminated. If the city would invest 1.8 million, then by 2020, our pavement index will improve to 69. If the city will invest 1.4, which basically was the average in the last 3 years, then our pavement condition would be maintained at the same level how it is now. Will not get worse, will not get better, but will not get worse either. If the city will invest less, around 800,000, then our payment index will go down to estimated by 2022 56. Why is that alternative of 800,000 is just based on our existing financial situation in transportation. Just a brief overview, a reminder for you more than anything else, that for transportation on yearly basis, a dedicated funding for transportation is about 2.4, 2.5 million on yearly ongoing basis. If theoretically, and this will be up to you to the budget process on year-by-year basis, but theoretically cost us street maintenance is 1.2 million a year. Then if you would set aside matching fund for any available grants, 100,000, and you would invest 100,000 on ongoing basis for traffic calming project, 100,000 for sidewalk and ADA repair, and street light 200, then you would have about 800 realistically, or around 800,000 a year for street rehabilitation.
What's street operations?
But again, these are
you?
just doesn't mean that you cannot decrease in 1 year any allocation, well, it's up to you to make that final decision on each year how much will be invested in each program.
So if I could interrupt, the big piece of the pie, streets operations, an example of what's included in that, since it's so...
Is everything, the level of maintenance, what you see now, is include traffic operations, street light operation, street maintenance, just patching and the pothole repair, all of those cleaning, striping, traffic safety improvements, not improvements, but traffic maintenance item. That's is included in that 1.2 million. There are many, the consultant in the study recommended many potential options. One of the options is actually that this available, so-called available funding on a yearly basis to use as bond and to bond that dollar amount and to be able to invest more for improvement. Issue a general obligation bond, create a special assessment district, or increase sales tax. Our recommendation at this time is knowing that the financial situation and economical situation of the whole city, that you will have to assess that on an ongoing basis. For this was the general program assessment for the transportation system. Specifically for 2011, is already included in our, this is phase 2 of the discussion. Phase 1 was to place this in context, already included in our 2011 capital improvement program is the Cyclone Federal paving project, which the department is for $570,000. The department will come back for awarding the contract for that project in a few months. Last year, the department did not implement the street rehabilitation project. Reason why is this year a higher carryover, and is around 1.3 million is available to implement in our street rehabilitation program for this year. How that selection of those streets, how was made, I will let Tina to share with you very briefly.
Good evening. Street Saver program is basically an online program, software program that's acknowledged by MTC, and it has the capability to analyze payment history data and to choose street for treatment, whether it's for maintenance or for rehabilitation work. The methodology used for street selection is to use the software-generated list as a starting point and to include our street maintenance crew's input and community concerns. Projects that are currently underway and is planned in the near future are also including the consideration in the selection process. And lastly, staff is also to conduct a visual inspection of the street to select and to determine the appropriate resurfacing type. Following this methodology and the available budget, staff developed a preliminary list of streets to receive treatment, which is an estimate of $1.3 million. 85% of this construction spending will be needed for rehabilitation work. The actual amount will be vary depending on the bidding climate. As you see, the preliminary list of streets to receive treatment includes a total of 49 streets. 24 streets in this slide is to receive preventive maintenance. Approximately about 22 are to receive rehabilitation treatment. And there are 3 additional streets that are pending based on construction bids. Staff could arrange a meeting with the subcommittee for a more detailed review of this list prior to coming back to the council for awarding the contract.
If you have any question, how Tina presented, this is a preliminary list based on information available to us, including any feedback from from the public during the last 2 years. If you have any
additional
question.
questions of staff?
Through the chair?
Michael?
I have just a couple of, if this is too detailed and you guys don't want to hear it, let me know. I could take it offline.
It's too detailed, Mike.
Okay. I was curious about what variables go into determining the index that you're using to categorize the streets. Are you like going out and counting potholes, or is this like an evaluation of the composition of the asphalt? I mean, how detailed does that get?
The survey actually is a visual survey, basically, and just surveying the damage on the pavement surface itself. For any cracks, for any potholes, for any structural defect, what you can see on the pavement.
Okay. And in terms of, it seems like what we're targeting here is to maintain somewhere in that 60% average citywide. But what would be a minimal acceptable? I mean, at what point does it become uncomfortable to drive on or unsafe to drive on one of these roads? I mean, could we go down to 50% and still have the road be usable?
That's why is the qualifier there that what is good, fair, and poor condition, that everything which is in good condition is in good condition, is still at a acceptable quality level. That's why, but you say this is also a perception issue, and that's why you compare always to other cities around you. That typically the driver doesn't see necessarily a boundary limit, and what quality pavement they see around them. That's how they will compare how the quality of the pavement is here. That's why it's so important what is that regional average. And you see that the regional average is higher than in San Bruno. Mm-hmm. And MTC set a much higher goal to really improve that quality. And it's not just a matter of perception of that quality, but it's a matter of minimizing cost. That if you will let the pavement really deteriorate to that level, you cannot really extend the life of the pavement. You can just replace. Yeah. And that's the most expensive proposition. That's really will cost in long term more the public than if you really would just extend on an ongoing basis the life of the pavement, and you would maintain at a higher pavement condition level.
And in terms of how the pavement wears out, is it mostly road, is it the traffic over the road that has a greater impact, or is it weather that would deteriorate?
There are many, many factors. And the first, the quality of the pavement from the beginning, mm-hmm. How was the sub-base, how the drainage works for the road, and then what type of and what kind of use the road had, how it's maintained, how fast is repaired, any damage. All of those really have a big impact. I just, this really meant to be a more a joke than anything, but it depends on how everybody really approach this. And this is a fact. It's not back a few years ago, a small city in England passed a resolution or changed their code that they will not repair their road, and the road system will be so full of potholes that they are using as traffic calming device.
The last comment or question I have is just around alternative materials. I noticed in your report that the petroleum costs drive up the price of concrete, and it's gone tenfold in the past 10 years, and that is really impacting that price. If we were to look at doing something like strictly concrete, which I understand is a viable replacement and has a longer lifespan, I imagine that could change the formula in what we're looking at here. And also possibly, and the reason I asked about the weather is if we were to use a more permeable material that would actually let water go through it, it may actually have less wear and tear due to weather, and also provide some benefit to our stormwater problem that we have with too much stuff getting into the sewer.
You are making very, very valid comment. Based on the life cycle cost, always the concrete is cost more to invest on the life cycle. If you are calculating on full life cycle cost for both, then they are pretty much equal. You say lots of debate, but they are pretty much equal as overall cost. On pervious pavements, they are great, and that will be probably a few years from now, many years from now. They are great for surface management, but they are still, they cost more right now still, and the technology is not that advanced. That is more on trial basis, more specific pilot projects, not full-scale implementation at this time, but that is coming.
Okay. So if when you're ready to come back with a recommendation on how we're going to fund this, I would like to see if it is comparable to use concrete on a complete life cycle basis. I would like to see that considered in what we're looking at. And again, I think because of the fact that the asphalt is tied to petroleum, and that right now is a very unstable price point, I think in the long run that might be a better investment. So if it's not going to double the amount of work that you need to do to evaluate that, and hopefully this software that you're using will help you. You can use that as an input and give us another alternate
I certainly
situation.
will come back with some information on that subject.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thank you for the report. Look forward to you coming back and paving our streets.
Thank you.
Item E, adopt a resolution authorizing the closure of San Mateo Avenue between Genevan Avenue and Sylvan Avenue on Sundays from May 1st, 2011 through October 30th, 2011 from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Genevan Avenue between El Camino Real and San Mateo Avenue on May 1st, 2011 and June 5th, 2011 from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And provide direction related to Chamber of Commerce proposal to expand Sunday activities to adjacent block for flea market, sidewalk sale, and other activities.
Thank you. For the last 2 years, the Chamber of Commerce, in conjunction with Pacific Coast Farmers Market, has operated a farmers market on San Mateo Avenue. And as the council knows, anytime you close down a street for any event or for any reason, it requires council approval to do so. So similar to the last 2 years, the Chamber is proposing to hold this on San Mateo Avenue on Sundays between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. between the cross streets of Genevan and Sylvan. It would be operated the same way, fresh fruits as well as music from time to time and children's activities. And Laura from the Chamber could expand more upon that or some of the things they're building in to the farmers market, within the farmers market footprint this year to further encourage people to come downtown. As the council knows, also on the first Sunday in June, the Posey Parade also goes down San Mateo Avenue. So as we've done last year, this resolution includes Genevieve closing between San Mateo and El Camino Real for the farmers market on that day. One thing you also notice is that there's also a proposal within this resolution to close down Genevieve between El Camino and San Mateo Avenue for the Streets Alive program. And what the Streets Alive program is locally is being promoted by Supervisor Groom's office, but it's a nationwide program to get people out of their cars and participating in outdoor fitness activities. So this will occur on the first Sunday in May, adjacent to the farmers market on that strip of Genevieve between El Camino and San Mateo Avenue. As you'll notice in the report, we said provide feedback. I think this was more, rather than provide feedback, the Chamber as well as the city have been discussing certain proposals to expand the Sunday activities. However, we want to work out some of those details first before we come back for you and make a proposal with that to expand those to have things like the flea market downtown and other activities. We want to iron out those details and then come back to you for a proposal with that. So Laura Baumann from the Chamber is here. She could answer any questions. Our Public Works Director's next to me. She could answer any technical questions related to the street closure as well.
Rico?
Through the chair. Real quick, just as far as the restroom facilities, in reading the report, I wasn't clear. Was that now to become a porta potty? Was that still going to be operated out of a business that had an arrangement, or do you know, or is it too early?
We're still operating, as we did last year, we operated out of Never Too Latte and Starbucks.
Okay. I just think that, being in some of the others, I just think it's more better
Nice.
image than having a porta potty out there.
It's definitely
Personally,
nice.
it's just my opinion. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Through the chair?
Irene?
I was just concerned that it seemed that fewer and fewer farmers and sellers were at the farmers market at the end of last year. So I'm wondering if we should keep it as all the way till October 30th.
That's actually one of the things that we discussed with the farmers market today. I've got a number of how many booths were open the last 4 weeks of the farmers market into October, and the weather was really bad those last few weeks, so farmers did not show up for the market. So we're thinking this year we may close it the end of September, which would be September 25th, and just not take a chance with October. The fruits are all done by then, so there's less and less people coming to the market,
Yeah.
booths-wise. And that's one of the reasons that we wanted to step it up this year and provide more activities down at the farmers market so that we can get more people and really educate the people why the booths were going down in number near the end of the market because of the loss of the fruits mainly were the parts. So what we had proposed to do is every first Sunday of the month would be focused on children at the Children's Day at the market. So we're going to have face painting and a jump house and have every Sunday actually have an activity, which once we get it published and out there, we hope that it'll bring more people to the downtown area, to the farmers market. But we did average between 400 and 800 people every Sunday for the whole season.
Okay.
So it was a good market.
Any other questions?
Through the chair.
Michael?
Are you planning to do anything different in terms of advertising or signage this year to try to expand?
We really counted on the city last year to do the signage in the downtown area. We can also send home flyers through the school district. We would like to get, once we get our program set for every Sunday and the activities that are there, we are going to take out an ad in the rec guide and have it actually stated what's going to happen every Sunday at the market. And we've got some really fun things planned. We've got cooking demonstrations, a car show and motorcycle show. We're going to do a home-based business showcase where we can actually have, people that work out of their home showcase their businesses down there. And we're going to have the man cave auction and judo party demonstrations and dance troupes and better music going on. So we're really excited about the market this year. It's going to be great.
Thank you.
Good. We are too.
Okay.
Any?
Go ahead and introduce the resolution.
Good.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Salazar.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. We've
Thank
already
you.
done item number 11. And number 12, comments from council members. Anyone wish to say anything?
Through the chair.
Irene?
Oh, I just, some people have gotten their utilities bills recently, and if you've noticed, there's an Operation Clean Sweep note on one side, so that's the first Saturday in May. I think it's May 7th this year, so don't forget. And then on the back, there's composting classes and the annual Clean Your Files Day, so don't throw this away. It's not junk mail, it's notices. Also, and Clara, maybe you could add to this. There's a new program. I'm very excited about it. This is partly sponsored through BOSQA. It's Lawn Be Gone, and we're trying to get people to get rid of their lawns that use so much water and cause so much maintenance. And there's alternatives, and there's kind of scholarships or grants if you do that. And so there's more information on our website, and it's a brand new program. We're very excited about it. So that's it.
Good. Anyone else?
Through the chair.
Ken?
Well, tomorrow is, I never forget about the 9th of the month. So tomorrow is the six-month anniversary of the disaster. I just want to also mention that the San Bruno Lions still have money to donate. And if you don't know how to get a hold of me, someone does. So we are entertaining applications for the victims up in the neighborhood. So, and we just took care of our 20th family up in the Glenview neighborhood. So I know there's more up there, and hearing from the subcommittee, we can help some more too. So, thank you.
Thank you. Item 13, closed session. We do have a closed session, two actually. City Manager and Human Resources Director requested closed session pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957.6 regarding direction for labor negotiations with the Police and Public Safety Mid-Management Unit bargaining units. And we also have a closed session to confer with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation, one case, California Government Code Section 54954.9A. And we may have a need for reportable action, so if you want to stick around, really anticipated. If not, we'll come out here and tell you if we have to, and you can read it on, see it on tape.
May I just make one comment before you go ahead?
Yeah, but you should do it at the podium.
I'm not talking for the commission, I'm talking for myself. Today was the beginning of in Sacramento, the California Parks and Recreation Society's annual workshop. Our organization of park commissioners and board members has been in existence for 42 years. This will be my 39th straight participation. I'm still very active. I'm proud of the fact that everybody knows about San Bruno, and that's why I keep going. My function recently has been, since 1980, in fundraising for 3 $2,000 scholarships, and we award those scholarships to juniors, seniors, and graduate students majoring in recreation supervision and park management. I want to thank Randy Schwartz, our director, who's been very supportive of me. And I remember my first year in '72, Sheila Hyman from Pacifica and she's the senior surviving president, past president, and she'll be there Thursday night at the banquet. And she has really been a strong factor in getting that organization going. We're really in trouble, like many agencies. The cities can't afford to pay the memberships anymore, so we pay our own individual memberships. And my first year, they used to take care of the planes and hotel rooms and food. And I just want you to know, many of us are still doing that on our own. And because we learn about the Brown Act and legislation and fundraising and things like that. So I'm very proud, and you know, and you honored me 4 years ago for being the first inductee in the Hall of Fame for that association, and I'm very proud of that fact. And I'll keep you posted on what goes on. But there are 3 young people that are really going to get $2,000 each, and that's what we're proud of.
That's a real good thing, and we're proud of what you do. Thank you very much. Thank you. Our next city council meeting is March 22nd, 2011, 7 p.m. right here at the Senior Center. And don't forget, next Thursday is St. Patrick's Day. Have a good one. Meeting adjourned.